What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to be looking at a little thing called Substack. So a little over a year ago, Substack made all the headlines, all the news about taking some pretty big comic book creators out of the mainstream and brought them over to Substack, gave them great deals, gave them grants. And yeah, I wanted to take a look at this because at the time, everyone was like, oh, is this the new model? Is everyone going to go to Substack? Is everyone going to go to subscription-based models and that type of thing for creating their comic books? Well, we're about a year into it. And now, a lot of those creators have kind of not, I don't want to say fallen by the wayside because they are still creating comic books, but they're not really creating on Substack. There's some of them are. A lot of them have let their subscriptions that were like at $7, $10. They had the $250 or whatever founders tier. A lot of those have let those go by. They've posted that, oh, this is going free now, and we'll post whenever. But yeah, let's take a look at it all. Okay, so what we got here is the article, one of many that came out last year. This one came out in August of 2021. Substack is getting into comics. And so this is kind of the main call out to everybody. The Verge, IGN, all kinds of websites were looking into this and reporting on Substack getting into the comic book business. And as it starts out, Substack is trying to put a new spin on webcomics. So they signed, with, I guess, Nick Spencer, who hasn't really been in the news a lot, and there are conflicting reports and rumors out there online about him even being involved with Substack anymore. Who knows what's going on with that? But at the time, he was kind of in charge of it, sort of, and he just like brought in all kinds of writers, Scott Snyder, James Tynion, Rick Remender, all kinds of other people, and we'll get into more of those names as we move along here. But yeah, so it was just all over the place. Here is another one. This one's from IGN. This one is at the beginning of this year, January 2022, updated on February 1st, 2022. Why Substack is suddenly one of the most important comic book platforms. Substack is betting big on comics, and here's what's on tap for the company's big launch day. So apparently the launch day was a few months after they started signing all these writers and artists. And here's a little list taken from IGN.com. Jonathan Hickman, Chip Zdarsky, James Tynion, Jeff Lemire, Kelly Thompson, Donny Cates, Molly Ostertag, Scott Snyder, Rodney Barnes, Sophie Campbell. There were a whole bunch of other people. Scotty Young was one that comes to mind. A few other people that I don't know if they signed their deals, if they got as big of a deal as like people like Scott Snyder and James Tynion got, or if they were just jumping on the bandwagon at the time and saying, hey, everyone's going to Substack, let's go over there. But yeah, so this was a big deal at the time, right? And everyone's, like I said, everyone was talking about it, and everyone was saying, oh, is this going to be the new model? It's just going to be how we're going to be publishing comics, or at least digital comics, for the future. Everyone had all their posts go up. Everyone said, oh, look, join this at this tier, join us at $10 a month, and you will get backstage access to all this stuff, and you'll get a comic. Didn't really work out that way. One, Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman had this character here, Vanish. I think it's Vanish #1 or something like that. They posted updates throughout the whole year, and it finally came out, I want to say, very recently. But not a whole lot of stuff came out from all the creators. There are a few things here and there, but then it all ended up getting printed and digitally released other ways also. So kind of didn't work out how maybe Substack wanted it to work out. And to really put the point on top, the cherry on top, hit the nail on the head, however you want to call it, let's take a couple of looks at some of these posts that have come out now that the year is up, now that they're not getting all that grant money from Substack. What are these creators doing now? So the first one that comes to mind is Scotty Young, because I am a Scotty Young fan. His art style is pretty awesome. I love the stories he tells. And I did subscribe for a couple months to his subscription tier, but then I unsubscribed just because it didn't feel like I was getting a whole lot of stuff to it. And I think that's what happened with a lot of creators, whether artists or writers. I don't know if they realized the amount of work it went into, or if they had the amount of work necessary built up to update those updates. And his story is like, I think, a lot of other stories from the different writers and creators that they are switching to kind of a free model, even though they are staying on the platform and updating there. As we go down to here, he said this was posted August 1st of this year. So just as his 1-year deal came up, he said, we were going to keep the comic over the subscription paywall, but quickly decided we wanted everyone to read and see the great work of all these creators and not just a few hundred paid subscribers. And so it goes on to say, we started giving free digital graphic novels, out of print sketchbooks, behind the scenes videos, making of material and more to paid subscribers, and a few more big perks to come for the boss level. As the first year comes to an end, we'll be making some big changes to their subscriptions, namely their boss level one was no longer going to be an option. So yeah, they're switching to free, certain monthly payments. And yeah, that seems to be the story for a lot of other creators out on Substack deal. I've been thinking about trying Substack, but I'm not sure of the level I want to go in. But I do think I want to use it as kind of a sketch blog, an update blog, behind the scenes type of stuff for The Amazing Red Bee, my all ages graphic novel coming out next year. But seeing all of these creators take this way out after their deal is up kind of puts you in the driver's seat a little bit, and seeing that it is a lot of work. It's not just put up your stuff and people can go and check it out. Of course, people can go and check out what you have on your free tiers, and even can see partial posts of your subscription tiers, but not everyone subscribes. And that's kind of what Scotty points out, that I think a lot of other creators felt too. It said here, but why was he making the changes? No matter what the idea was, for every new paid sub they'd get, 1 or 2 would drop off. We pretty much stayed at the same subscription number level since last September. For the whole year, they didn't really go up, they didn't really go down, they kind of just stayed in the middle. So they didn't really build that audience. They just stayed where their normal audience was and didn't take in any more viewers, any more contributors. So it makes sense on that level. The other level is if you do put a lot of effort into creating your platform, whether that's on YouTube, Patreon, Substack, any other type of platform, your own website, building up your newsletter, you have to be proactive in all of that. And I think, and who's to say, but personally, I think that a lot of creators kind of just stay at that level because they're just simply focused on the work. And if you're getting work from the mainstream comics, from corporate comics, Marvel and DC, then of course there's really no need and no urge to feel like you got to build up your fan base. You got to build up your reader base, your subscribers, because you know what? You're still going to have that work coming in from Marvel and DC. The bad thing about this, and any other creators who had those subscribers who subscribed at the bigger tiers or the founders levels and paid all that money, well, he has the same type of problem. He says he had annual farmhand, which is what he called his annual subscribers. Their sign up and this incentives would be fulfilled for the annual, what does it say? For the anniversary of his launching Tales from the Farm. That was the book I was thinking about. That was an early book he started. Great story there. But that wouldn't be fulfilled in time. He goes on to explain he was going to make sure all those early subscribers and those founder level subscribers did get their stuff that they were paying for, basically. But it was going to take a little bit extra time. So, canceling all of these things after 1 year does take an effect on their fan base. I mean, there are certain fans who say, oh, you know what, it's okay, I understand what's going on. But then there are other fans who are like, hey, man, I paid for this. Where's my stuff? And that was kind of the case with some of these other creators too. Wes from Thinking Critical had a great video on Jonathan Hickman and his whole thing going on with Substack. He also had a deal with Substack, took the 1 year grant money, and I'm not sure exactly. You'll have to go check out that video. I'll try to link it down in the description down below, but he didn't deliver, I guess, on any of it or very little of it. So there are certain things like that go into account for all these things when they took these Substack deals. And now that the year's up, they're going back to corporate comics, a lot of them. And some of them are staying indie partly, but they're still taking that corporate comic money because, you know what, it's easy for them, and, you know what, they can make their money there. But like I was saying, there are others, and James Tynion is one of them. So James Tynion was one of the big names coming out of all of this last year in 2021 because he was just coming off of a great run. Well, I shouldn't say great because I didn't really read the Batman run he did, but apparently as far as sales go and stuff like that, he was coming off of a great run from doing Batman over at DC Comics. His contract came up. He decided to say peace out to DC Comics and did his own thing on Substack. 1 year later, does he drops his Substack subscribers, go back to DC Comics? No, it looks actually like he's doubling down on Substack and keeping forward. And he has this blue book. It's called Blue, I think it's called Blue Book or something like that on Substack that he's been updating, and he's going to be getting it published physically some other way. He also has his Something's Killing the Children IP that he's working, and that is his own creation, so he owns that. So he's really doing good, and he is taking advantage of the Substack deal now that the grant part is over, and he's rolling that over into his own, keeping his Substack rolling, keeping his subscribers going. And let's see what he has to say about this. He said, tomorrow is the 1 year anniversary of the launch of the paid version of my Substack. This was posted on August 8th. A whole bunch of you have probably already gotten the notification about renewing your subscription to the newsletter. I hope you'll stick around. He goes into what worked in 2021, how he was building his audience, all the money. Well, he didn't go into details about the money he got, but the money he got from Substack, the grant money, all that stuff, writing 100 newsletter posts on Substack, all this other stuff is going in from year one and what worked there. Then he also talks about, in the year one part, what worked with his storytelling, experimental storytelling. Like I said, that Blue Book, which was with Michael Avon Oeming, I think it was artist on that. There's a True Weird anthology, and then the Department of Truth Wild Fiction. That is another creator-owned IP that he owns there, and he was publishing some of that stuff on his Substack deal. Or I shouldn't say on his Substack deal, on his Substack blog, I guess you would call it. I don't really know. I guess on his Substack. Are we making it a noun now? I don't know. Here is a big part of why he's basically staying on Substack, though. It's the memberships that he's attained and that he's kept. So who knows how many other memberships like Scotty Young, Chip Zdarsky, other players have had. Maybe they've only had a couple hundred. James Tynion is up there in the thousands. He says beyond what he's worked on, the numbers have been extremely good. He's approaching 1,000 members of his Onion Club, another nearly 1,000 paid subscribers at the annual monthly rate. Totaling his mailing list is a fast approaching 15,000 paid and unpaid subscribers. So even say, I don't know, if you were to say 50% of those are unpaid subscribers. So that's 7,500 paid subscribers at like $5 tiers, I think they start at. If they're even at the lowest, that's a pretty good chunk of change for him. So why would he go back to corporate comics? But like I said, it's a lot of work. When he goes on to talk about what didn't work, he said the biggest issue was that he replaced one grind with another grind. It turned out that actually hitting all the benchmarks that he wanted to set for himself on Substack, it was a huge undertaking, and it really is. If you look at any type of creator-owned person who goes out there, makes a name for themselves on their own IP, creates their own comic book, and, you know, it grows it, doesn't just create it and lets it lay by the wayside, build up dust, cobwebs form over it. They just say, oh, I'll get to that whenever. No, if you look at the creators out there who are really pushing their stuff, trying to build an audience, get to that next level, that's a lot of work, man. Of course, in James Tynion's case, not only does he have his creative work, he has his Hollywood work, because Something is Killing the Children, I think, has been optioned. I'm sure Blue Moon probably got optioned. He has all kinds of different hookups and connections that to get his IP and his properties looked at by different Hollywood studios. I'm sure he probably has a book agent or some type of other agent, all this other stuff going on, because like I said, he is a pretty big name in corporate comics, but he used that not only just to work on Batman while he was at DC. Like I said, I'm going to say it again, Something is Killing the Children. I haven't read it, but I've heard great things about it. And it is one of those top selling independent titles that are always at the top of the list because people like his writing, especially when he's writing his own stuff. And the last thing I'll say about James Tynion and Substack, because I really think it does drive home the point of how much work goes into this, but really how much the creator benefits from these type of scenarios where you work on your own things, you build up your own content, your own IP, and you focus on that. He's staying on Substack. He's still working on Blue Book. He's working on the True Weird Stories, the Department of Truth, other books there. But he's also creating his own creator-owned comics that are physical comics launching in 2023 that won't be on Substack. So he's doing both of those. And then his subscriptions aren't going anywhere. He's not switching to the free models like so many other people. It says right here, the Onion Club for 2023, there's going to be more on this as we get closer to the date that he set. But effectively, he's going to have a limited number of memberships on sale. And when they sell out, you won't be able to join. It looks like once they hit the 1,000 member mark, then he's going to lock off those memberships. What this does is not only sets a goal for himself and trying to get a certain number of members, but it almost takes into account and makes it a FOMO kind of thing for the readers and his fan base. If they are really James Tynion fans and they love everything he puts out and they subscribe to his newsletter, they're going to want to get in on this Onion Club, this top tier level of his newsletter, because hey, that's where you get all the benefits and you're not only backing this creator that you really like, but you're getting awesome comics in return. And there's only a certain number of spots to get it. So you better get in there fast. That is causing a great deal of, excitement for your newsletter. And he's just I feel like he's doing everything right in order to keep the Substack newsletter going, the blog going, and not only focusing only on that, but still creating his other comics outside of Substack. And one final thought, it doesn't look like Substack is dropping off anytime soon. Sure, there are a lot of people and a lot of creators that took that 1-year deal, tried to do something, didn't quite work out how they wanted to, so they're switching to the free model and they're going back to corporate comics or whatever else they were working on before. But there are other people who are now jumping on. There is Matthew Rosenberg and Joshua Williamson. So they are coming into the mix now, 1 year later, and they're taking up their time and their effort to try to build this thing. And who knows how it's going to work out for them. Maybe they'll do the same thing as others in a year from now, and they'll go off and say, oh, hey, look, we tried the subscription thing, didn't work out how we wanted to, so we're going to switch it to free. Or they could be like other creators and say, hey, it's working pretty good. I'm putting in all the work. I'm reaping in all the benefits and all the rewards. So let's keep this Substack thing going. Who knows? Like I said, Substack, Patreon, there are other platforms out there. You can create your own type of Patreon or Substack membership tiers by using different plugins. I think Shopify might have a plugin, something like that. I know there's a subscription type of plugin thing that PayPal does. There's all kinds of different ways to do this. The most important thing, though, is that there's no silver bullets. That's kind of why I wanted to look at this all together. Everyone is thinking, like I said, when Substack first appeared, oh, Substack is going to be the new model. It's going to be the way to go. It is a way to go. It is not the way to go. The only way to go is try to focus on your own creations, trying to build your own audience. However you see that is working for you, keep on that road. Don't look at the new silver spoon, shiny object off in the corner and say, oh, look, that's something that I want to get to now. That's the way to do it. If what you're doing is working now, stick to that plan, stick to that road, full steam ahead, and make your comics. Get out there, make great comics. And if I can, I'd just like to finish this video by saying, please check out my graphic novel, The Amazing Red Bee. It will be launching in 2023. It is an all ages adventure awesome tale. It's about a superhero known as Red Bee. He is the superhero of Hive City, and when a new superhero comes to town, he's not as super as he thought he was. So what does it mean to be a superhero when someone else out there is more super than you? It's a great tale filled with a great story and great moral behind it, and I really hope you check it out. I'm going to be making a video soon about why I'm doing all ages books. First reason is because I love those stories and I love the way I draw, and the way I draw fits those stories perfectly. But there are other reasons, and I will get to those. But yes, link in the description below. Please check it out. If you have children, if you know of any kids, if you're a teacher, if you're a grandparent, if you're an uncle, aunt, any of that stuff, and you have kids who like stuff like Dogman, stuff like Raina Telgemeier puts out, stuff like Tiny Titans, any of those things appeal to the kids around you that you take care of, that are your kids, that your nieces and nephews, they like those things, I'm pretty sure they're going to like the Amazing Red Bee. So sign up, because early signups get an exclusive trading card and they get a discount. All right. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.